Hey folks, it's Dr. Brian King here. Once again, I'm with my buddy Dusty Trice.
Howdy.
How you doing, Dusty? You doing good?
I'm doing great.
You have these glasses on that look kind of like X-ray specs.
It feels good to have sunglasses on outside.
Yeah, we are. We're outside. We're actually in this beautiful little small town in eastern Washington, a place called Wenatchee, Washington, which I've never been here before. Have you been here before?
I haven't. We're down by the river right now. It's really pretty.
It's nice. If you guys could see what we were looking at, you'd be totes jealous. But then you wouldn't pay attention to the podcast, and so we had to turn it around. But today is an interesting podcast. I've never done this before. What I mean is I've had plenty of instances where I've interviewed somebody and then I brought them back for a follow-up interview.
Right.
But never so soon. Like today we're interviewing a guy who I just interviewed like a week ago. But while I was on the phone with him and I knew that I was going to be traveling with you, I thought it'd be a good idea to get Dusty on this phone call. So we're doing another interview with former pot dealer turned politician, Mr. Charlie Thompson. How you doing, Charlie?
I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere. Blues, women, and blues. I'm here, I'm there, I'm
There's a
everywhere.
reason I wanted Dusty to meet you, okay? So Dusty is...
I'm a former politician who turned pot dealer.
That's right.
We're in opposite directions right now.
I was in politics for 15 years, and then I went to work for the Marijuana Policy Project and started legalizing medical marijuana, and then here I am.
Yeah, and I thought we could have an interesting discussion because you're an interesting guy. You guys have a lot in common.
More than you know, I actually was born in the district that you tried to run it.
You're in
Yeah.
North Alabama?
I am from Alabama originally. Can't you tell from my accent?
It seems like it's gone away. I mean, people say that to me all the time. Like, I was born in Huntsville, and they're like, there's no way you're from Alabama the way you talk. I am. I mean, I can't change it.
Guys, actually, now that I think about it, you guys could be related. Look at how similar your bone structure is, and you both, are loving the freak hairstyles.
Yeah.
You have any long lost brothers or sisters that you don't know about, Charlie?
To my knowledge, my father, who was actually not in my life, he has a son and a daughter now, but that's about all I know of. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Brother.
Your father got around. He spawned a man named Dusty. So Charlie, just for I know Dusty's read up on you, but in case anybody is watching this or listening to it that missed the last podcast, give us a brief catch up of who you are. And Dusty, you can also share a little bit about yourself as well. But let's go with Charlie first.
All right. Well, I mean, as I said, I was born in Huntsville, Alabama. I got my first degree from UAB in Birmingham. I got my second degree, which was the first one's a biology degree. The second was a chemistry degree from UAH in Huntsville. I bought a house here. I've lived in a few other places. I lived in Virginia Beach for a while on the ocean front. That was really nice. I miss the ocean. And as I said, I started out as a drug dealer as a kid. I went to college and got out of the business, came back a little bit, but then, time to mature, get up, try to improve my life. And then I'm working towards legalizing marijuana, obviously in my state. And, obviously as a politician in general, I want to get to Congress and want to be the face of change for this country.
Right on.
So now you know why the entire time I was like, I got to get Dusty on the phone. Let's go. So Dusty, what about your experiences?
Yeah, I was in politics for 15 years. I've run campaigns. I've run issues campaigns. I did a lot of electoral work. I worked for a now former senator from the state of Minnesota. Got him elected to the Senate. And yeah, I helped legalize medical marijuana and recreational marijuana in Colorado. And then I quit and became a half-assed comedian.
I think we all go to the comedian thing at some point. I swear. Like I did the same thing.
Also wants to be a comedian.
Oh, there you go.
There's that character. So how'd you go about legalizing marijuana? Maybe you can help this guy in his political aspirations.
Well, there was a lot of components to this. I mainly just did the digital work. I worked at a group called the Marijuana Policy Project in Washington, D.C. And I could look out my window and see the Washington Monument, and it was a real treat. But I was able to do a lot of digital work from there, just reaching out to people. There were tons and tons and tons of people, from signature gatherers to people actually working in all the various legislatures trying to pass these things. There's many different organizations out there working it. This was just one, but it's a team effort. At the time, this would have been 2011. Like, you couldn't talk to politicians about this, and now you have states trying to figure out how to tax it and regulate it and run it like a legit business instead of out of somebody's truck. So did you sell weed out of your truck?
Oh, no. I started so young. I was like 9, 10, 11 years old, selling it out of the house. Like, I started as a kid. And the thing is I didn't grow this business out like outside the city. I was in the inner city with all of the gang members and everything.
Right.
So I kind of learned it the really, really hard way.
Right.
Wow.
Plus competition.
Yeah,
Right.
and a gun to the back of your head. That's a hell of a competition. Hell of a motivator.
Well, and that's why I think it's so important that we're heading towards this regulated system, because that was the danger, and there's utterly no reason for it. And the states where they have legalized, they've seen the prices regulate, the legal markets grow, and the illegal markets shrink. And with that, all the different dangers that came from it.
Yeah. I said that as a kid. I mean, I was like, look, what's the difference in an illegal business and a legal business? I mean, let's go all the way back to prohibition. What is the difference? Just the legality. And once you have legality, then you can control it. Then you can tax it. You can make money off of it. You can, if you're actually paying attention, you can do that. But it's just a bunch of people who are scared to try, scared to think, scared to put themselves out there.
Right. And just say it. So where are you at in your state on your fight?
We have legalization of not THC itself, but anything close to THC. Medical is now legal, but they're still going through the trials of figuring out who they want to be suppliers and whatnot, and what process they're going to do with that. Being Alabama and a super majority of GOP, it's going to drag its feet. Even though it's been legalized, they're still going to drag its feet. And so you're still looking about, they said this year, I'm still thinking next year. But I mean, you can see that they're at least doing the diligent part. It's just so slow, you would believe it's
They don't have dispensaries open yet.
No,
but they're not busting kids for walking around with a joint, or maybe they are. I don't know. No.
not really, because most everybody's got a THC vape pen or something, and it's like you can't tell the difference in those and regular cig pens and anything, so they don't even worry about it.
Right.
Why is the legalization of marijuana so important to you?
Well, I think first of all, look at the health benefits it has, especially for people. Like, I have a friend that's a cancer patient, and he had a problem getting eating. And taking edibles made it where he would get appetite, and so there's things like that helps it that way. And others, I think a lot of people are looking for a release from life, because daily life, 62% are living check to check. There's a lot of stress out there, and people are looking for a stress management. And if you look at your major stress managements that you have in this country that are legalized, you're looking at cannabis, alcohol, and cigarettes. Cannabis might actually be the safest with the least amount of negative consequences, even immediately. Alcohol may not kill you for years, but I could wake up, get drunk tonight, wake up tomorrow with a strange person in my bed. I've never done that on marijuana.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it seems to be like a safe version to escape reality. But it doesn't have, like, nobody, I don't know, there's not really drunk driving equivalents. People don't get high and decide to drive, and
Right.
When they do, they drive really, really slow.
I would recommend not driving anything while inebriated personally. Like, I'm a person that doesn't believe in shopping high in general, because you go to the store high, you buy half the market. So I'm big on it, late at night after I've done my day work and whatever I've done tonight, because I'm always working a couple jobs and always hustling. And today I was working on t-shirts, designs and stuff. So, I'm always busy.
Is that what you're currently wearing? Is that free forehead? What is that?
Oh, yeah.
Is that one of yours?
Made.
Is that yours? So are you selling forehead kisses for free? You're not going to make any money selling them for free.
Hey, all the women love it, and some of the men, which is sometimes, a little weird, but it's good.
I take a forehead kiss.
You have a lot of foreheads.
I do.
There's a lot to kiss up there, man. It really is.
Hey, if I walk in a strange place, there's at least one person coming to me. Can I get one? Like, yeah, sure. Why not? it leaves a heck of a reputation. And when you tell them you're a
That's a great way to
politician and whatnot, it throws them for a loop.
Yeah, so I feel like politicians are notorious for kissing babies, and you kiss foreheads, basically.
I'm tall. I'm 6'7". I can only reach the forehead in a lot of people.
But I like that you're not discriminating against age. You know, you're like, nope, has to be a baby. Has to be a baby. I was like, why do babies get all the kisses?
I've kissed up to 7-year-old women and all the way down to like 21-year-old girls. You know, just but it's all forehead kisses. Just nothing wrong. Just nice, polite personality, I guess.
We're not supposed to kiss and tell here, Charlie.
Hey, it wasn't anything that we have to worry about telling them. That's the thing. I'm not over here doing the weird stuff that those those certain people be doing back there. Right?
You are a politician, and you have to. The nice thing about Charlie as a politician, though, he might have skeletons in his closet, but his closet door is broken.
Yeah, I'm open about that. I'll tell you anything you want to know about it. Like, I'll tell you some of those weird war stories of, those 2-3 a.m.s where you're trying to do drop-offs, see red police lights, and you're like, well, am I going to jail tonight? Or you see that strange car with the lights off. Are we getting robbed? Is somebody shooting? I've been through those places.
So I know you've you really got your eyes set on politics right now, right? But if legalization happens in Alabama, are you thinking about going back into the business?
I wouldn't be against it. I mean, I personally, if I got to get to politics and have that kind of money, I would probably open me up a business if I was allowed to. I think, because I think once I retire from whatever I'm going to do, nationally, or whatever, I would like to have. I don't want to ever retire from life. I enjoy the idea of having somewhere to work. So if I had my own little bit shop, I could go run and put a few video games in there and have a place where you could chill out in there and whatnot. I think it'd be a great place to be and a great retirement. What do you do for a living? I just go to the pot shop and play video games.
Oh, it works for who's that? That guy who that celebrity that opened up a pot. He's got a reality show.
Belushi?
Yeah, Belushi.
Yeah,
Works
Jim
for
Belushi.
Belushi. He stopped getting booked in movies. So he opened up a weed farm. Now, I definitely, obviously, I guess I'm just thinking about like your political career versus your weed affinity, if you will. You think it would hurt? You think it's going to hurt your aspiring political career?
At first, I think that was one of the questions that was asked, especially when I started running for 2022. The last election. Especially when I finally got my campaign manager. That was the first question he had: is what is my look at that? Mm-hmm. But the more people I met, the more I realized that the majority of the population was on my side. In fact, that was how I got a lot of donations alone. Besides Normal and the campaigns like that have been running for those legalizations, handing me money. There was a lot of people I'd be on the phone with. They'd be like, "Well, if that's what you're working for, I'm going to support you just for that." I mean, it matters to a lot of people. A lot of people I think a lot of people want to have what America's supposed to be about, personal freedom. And we have a lot of people right now in politics who are against personal freedom for some reason.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
and in politics, the grind is all about money.
Yeah.
You spend over half of your time asking and begging for money from anyone who will listen. You need that, and frankly, those are the people with the money. That's
I think it's even worse since Citizens United decision, because now you've increased the amount of price on these elections. I mean, you're looking at the Georgia senatorship between Warnock and Herschel Walker was almost $500 million for one seat. $500 million. Imagine how much work you've got to do just to get that. I mean, as a politician, you were a campaign manager. You're on the phone 40 hours a week, 80 hours a week.
Right. You can pay off bail for that money.
Hey, they spend so much money on that. Trump could have at least paid for his friggin' court case.
It's amazing the money that goes into this stuff, and you guys, of course, know more about
billions
than I do.
Billions.
Yeah.
And it's a never-ending grind. Where I lived in the LA area, there would be tours. It would be the Senate or the House, and they would bring 10, 15 people there and just hop from mansion to mansion to mansion. And that was, everyone would throw their own individual party. And in district, it's always a challenge to try to see who you can bring, what celebrity you can bring, and then hold a fundraiser with them. It's a $1 billion industry. It's an industry.
Yeah.
Yes. And I mean, you got to think that's not even counting everybody that's around. Like, you have to get certain websites that have names for you to call. You get those lists, and that's a price. And then, if you want to advertise, you're going to need to find out which advertisers and how to get in touch with them, and how much that's going to cost for billboards, internet, television. Like, all of these different options have to come around, and it's always a grind. And there are people, I think, that wanted Citizens United expanded because it expanded their chance to make their wealth.
Right. And now it's both. Everybody does it. It's not like Democrats have run from it and Republicans most certainly haven't. But now everybody is doing the same thing. It homogenized. They didn't move away from it. There are some politicians that only take small donations or only from within their district, but they don't tend to win.
No. How are you going to compete if you're in a district like mine that doesn't have an exorbitant amount of wealthy individuals, just middle class America, and you're trying to compete with a man who, because of his connections, can get $2-3 million like that? Like, all of a sudden you're down and you can't advertise. It becomes very hard to play that game.
And then, but man, we're just preaching.
Yeah.
And then you don't see them in district. They spend all their time. Once you get to DC, you spend all your time in DC raising money. And if you're not in DC, you're not in your district. You're out in California or Florida raising money.
Wow.
Money, money, money.
That's the life. You really want that life? Is that really how you want to live?
It's not what I want, but the reality is it's the only way you're going to change America. It's the only way you're going to make a difference in this country, because it's not going to come from any way but by policy.
And the beautiful thing is anyone can try. Have you thought about running for mayor ever?
I have never thought about running for mayor. No. But I will say that, like, I've always been interested in watching politics as an audience member, as a spectator. I've never been moved to throw my hat in the ring.
Right.
That might change as you get older. People tend to get more politically minded. And so that might change, but.
So usually you get older and you don't want to get out of bed or have to wear diapers or something.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, you get older and you just run for mayor.
That's right.
You just hope you're not wearing diapers at the elections. It looks really bad in
Am I
pictures.
alienating your audience right now?
There's nothing saying that the mayor can't wear a diaper around town. I mean,
It doesn't look good on camera. I'm saying.
Forehead kisses.
Listen, all I'm saying is that every time you go to the bathroom and you have to sit down and you're reading the paper, by the time you're done, it's like 45 minutes of left,
Right.
You wear a diaper around town, it's efficient. You're using your time wisely. And it's like you having a conversation. It's like, what was that sound? Nothing. Let's just keep talking.
What was that smell? Is a bigger question.
Well, I would imagine I've never worn a diaper. I would imagine there was a smell dampening feature to my theoretical, hypothetical diapers. Charlie, man, are you going to run again?
That is my intent. Is down the road. Didn't have the money for this one. My whole thing is I'm going to build social media, because for me, I feel like the world is based on the microphone principle. If you get enough microphones behind you that you can get that, then you can get the money and everything, because now you're a national commodity.
Right.
What's your social media for people to check you out?
Wait a minute, let me make sure it's right. I want to make sure I'm not killing myself
if you don't know it.
Yeah, at the Charlie Truth on X is the one I'm at the most, because most political stuff seems to go through Twitter for some reason now. On Facebook, I don't have near as much connection to people for some reason. I don't know what happened to Facebook, but unless you're completely conservative, you don't find a lot of like-minded people there.
Oh yeah, wait, completely conservative? I always find Facebook's steers more liberal.
I guess it's because of the people I have in Alabama. It steers more conservative there. Like, I have a lot of liberal friends on it, obviously, and I have conservative friends on it too. But I feel like the ones that are in my area show up more as conservative, because I am kind of a blue dot in a red state.
Yeah,
I have a computer too, guys.
Hey,
I hardly use social media, and what's funny is I started out doing social media for politicians and conventions and things. So I've gone the total opposite direction. So I feel you, man. Like those audiences have kind of changed everywhere now.
Yeah. That's the thing about it. When I lost my election in 2022, I lost in the primary. And the lady that beat me hired me to be her campaign manager because of all the things I proved I could do for myself to help her campaign.
What are the kind of issues in your district right now? What do people need?
Yeah, besides
right.
marijuana.
Well, right now, yeah, obviously it'd be one, but I think bigger things here being in Alabama is we have a huge corporate issue. Alabama State is so pro-business that they have basically given corporations from outside the state, basically no laws. They come in, they pay very little to us, but they'll bring out their own leaders from outside the state. And then, of course, you realize they're making all that money and they're taking it out of the state. They don't get tax. They're coming in with almost no taxes. Everything is pro-business beneficial, very beneficial for pro-business. And I think it's actually hurting the bottom line in Alabama because Alabama's not making that money. So you look at how much we're taking from federal money because we're not able to make those ends meet, and you're going, well, maybe if we taxed our businesses properly and had proper business laws, we wouldn't have it. Let's put it like this. I'll give you two perfect examples. About 10 years ago, Birmingham wanted to raise minimum wages, and Alabama actually sued and won in federal court to make sure no city could raise federal wages against wages against the state. So the state leveraged every city.
I bet that was popular.
Oh, it really wasn't, but they didn't. Not one person changed their vote for that one.
Yeah,
That's crazy to me. Birmingham is, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the most populated city in your state, right?
No, as of last year, Huntsville passed them. We are now number one.
Wow.
And number two, Wright County, behind Jefferson.
It must be all that influx of NASA engineers coming in.
It absolutely is that.
because when I think of
Western Washington,
Alabama, I think of rocket scientists.
Yes. Yeah.
that's what we have.
That's his district, though. It's like
know,
it's
I-
like nothing but smart people
I know.
and him.
Burn. You burnt. So what other issues are in what are people feeling in your district? What kind of changes are they looking to make?
I think the biggest thing is the money crunch, because that's the thing I hear most of all from everyone. As I said, 62% of the populations live in check to check, and you can see the frustration from that. I think that's one. So I'm looking at gases, grocery prices. I mean, the state's supposedly trying to get rid of grocery taxes for the state to lower that price.
Oh, that's
But
nice.
we'll see how that goes. They haven't really come through on that yet. You look at the fact that we don't have lotteries and things like that. So a lot of people with near lottery time are going out of state to spend money. So that state money's going to other states and their education. But you see Alabama still 48th in education and it's underfunded in every district.
It sounds like they just don't like money. They don't
Hey.
want to have weed taxes. They keep
They're
sending the
very
money out of
anti-money.
state.
I haven't figured it out because they're supposed to be businessmen. I thought they were supposed to be capitalists.
Yeah.
And this is like free revenue stream, more revenue streams. They're like, no, we don't want the revenue streams. We just want businesses to show up here. And I'm like, I don't get what you're doing. I think with what we have here and some of the types of people we have here, we have a potential, if you had a proper policies and a proper system, to be a top half state, to be in the top 25. Like, I don't see us competing with California and becoming a top 5 global economy, but I think we could be a very positive state that does a lot of good for this country instead of always on the economic take from the federal government.
Yeah, Alabama's got a lot going for it. Every time I go through there, it feels very prosperous. But you're telling me that's not the case, because
It's
my last tour I went through, I was like Huntsville, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Mobile, a little bit of Montgomery, and it feels like the things are happening in a lot of those cities.
and that's why you went to the major cities. The second you're outside of that, you start seeing the Alabama you hear the jokes about. You start seeing the trailers. You start seeing the Trump flags. You start seeing the people who you're wondering who they're related to and how many of them are the same. Hey, let's put it like this. Alabama has closed so many rural hospitals. We are actually wondering how we're going to have healthcare for a large percentage of our population. And this is a state that will not do the Medicaid extension, which would actually bring those hospitals back and would actually get healthcare for many Alabamians, but they won't do it.
I like that. I like that he's more than just legalized weed. You know what I mean? Like, you can't,
It matters.
yeah.
It matters. Well, and the thing is because you're legalized weed, people should be taking the rest of it more seriously. It's more confusing to me when a politician says they're not. I mean, it's like, I believe in Wonderland. I believe in fantasy.
Yep.
Because it's been, the benefits have been shown, all of the myths have been disproven. So finding a politician that actually is pro weed is like finding a politician that can tell the truth.
Well, that's the thing that's weird is I'm always looking at that aspect. Where's the money coming from?
Yeah.
And when these people are saying things, are they saying it to be honest, or are they saying it to get something? Like when I see a MAGA politician or somebody say something I know is a blatant lie, I understand they're talking to their base. They're lying to their base because they're not going to confuse a smart person who's actually done the research and looking on the topics.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I feel like, with regard to marijuana, I mean, I keep going back to it, but you just mentioned the benefits of proven and all that. It doesn't have to be. What are the benefits of drinking alcohol?
True.
The fact remains is that there's a demand, and there's a huge demand, and it's something people want, and people are doing despite the illegality of it in some areas. And
Right.
so it just makes sense to decriminalize. For whether there's benefits or not.
Mhm.
And people,
Well, it brings in the money.
Yeah.
I keep thinking the second that it is nationally legalized, it is going to be a race
oh yeah,
to see which state is the king of weed.
Yeah,
It-
I mean,
because-
for me, I told him last time I was looking at you talk about the Republicans and their love for the southern border, but I came up with a solution for the southern border, and it actually is drug legalization universal. And it was basically allowing, your big pharmaceutical companies to go to Colombia and negotiate directly for cocaine, to go to Afghanistan and work with poppy seeds and actually develop. Because then the American public would basically have control over these large international markets, and they could get rid of the black market in the rest of the world and become the predominant supplier of drugs on the planet, which would be another revenue stream for the United States in general.
Now we could go on about this forever. I'm from Portland, where we did legalize all the drugs, and let me tell you, it may have been a mistake.
Everything has to be done properly. See, that's the thing I tell people all the time. There's the idea, and then there's how you actually implement. And implementation is the key. Like, you got to think of me. I mean, personally, I'm the one that's for term limits. I'm the one that's for age limits. I think the Supreme
How
Court
old?
judges should have the age limits and term
How old do we
limits.
get to be before we get put down?
Yeah, what's your age limit?
Look, I just want it 65 to 70 as a politician or a thing. I don't think it's fair to have 80 and 90-year-old people dictating to 20 and 30 and 40-year-olds how to live. You don't relate to the society. Society is against you at this point. I mean, you see Chuck Grassley's 91. What does he relate to a 25-year-old who's just trying to make their way in this world? And most of the rules seem to be against them at this point.
I had a congressman one time get really heated with me because he just was adamant that term limits were ridiculous. And his argument for not having term limits was that you'd end up with committee seniority. And now, sitting here in 2024, I think that might have been the most batshit argument I've ever heard, because even with seniority, we're still at deadlock. So I'm with you with term limits, and kind of always been, but it's interesting in Washington circles how adamant they'll get that it'll never work. We'll lose our committee assignments. What have you done for me today then?
Well, the thing is, and I understand this, there are a few committees that, if you've been through this, that are so difficult that it takes years to really learn what you're doing.
Right.
Because there's just so much to it. So, one of the things I don't like about term limits is some of them were like, we're so short. 6-year term limits. I'm like, no. We do have some things that are difficult. So I was thinking 10 or 12, like enough where you have enough information where whoever's been there and is on the head of the committee has been there long enough that they understand the principles of what they're doing. But at the same time, they can also be training everybody else under them that's on that committee to work to that same level of intelligence and integrity, so that when you leave and your term is up, they can come in and still run it as you've never left. And then you could be somebody that comes in more as a consultant for them, because they can call you up. Hey, man, we know you know this and this and this. What are we doing here? Just a consultation thing.
Right. Makes sense.
How much do you guys pay for haircuts?
0.
I get it for free too.
I'm looking at both of you, and I'm just like, I'm rocking. I'm shaving something.
This is totally free.
Hey, once it becomes summer, this is even really nice. It's nice and cool on the sides, and I still get to have my long hair.
Yeah. Does that qualify as a mullet? I'm not sure if it's shaved underneath. That's not a mullet, is it?
No. I have long hair all the way across. Like, this is long too. Everything's long, is just pulled back.
Party in the front and back and top,
That's
but
right.
not on the side.
He's a
Not on the sides or the back.
party.
Right here on the very
It's a
back.
political party.
It's an undercut. It's a full undercut.
Yeah. The thing that strikes me about Charlie, and so politically speaking, I'm not very opinionated one way or the other. I'm like one of the, I'm on the middle.
And I'm opinionated in every which way.
Yeah. But the thing that strikes me about him is that he actually sounds like, you know, he makes some sense. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
this guy, you know, he could make it. Who knows? You know, hey, do you need another campaign manager? I know a guy with some experience.
But I'm down to find anybody. I'm sure just alone, if me and him could connect, the amount of connections he had would be very helpful to me as a person and in general, just because he's going to know people I don't know that can help me find ways into circles that I probably need to be in.
You'd be surprised how many bridges I had to burn to get here.
Yeah. There's no going back across those things. No, but yeah, you know, he's one of your constituents too, right? Does it count if you were born in the district?
You got to stay in the district. That's
Ah,
that.
man.
You know that.
He doesn't get to vote, or you know, but he can always donate. You know, if the
That's
time
true.
comes up. That's true.
This stupid country. No.
I keep thinking I'm going to enjoy being a Brit after World War III. I think they'll just take us back, and then you know I've been boning up on King Charles, and
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen after World
think
War
it's
III.
not
I think right now I'm just going to stick, as of right now with World War III, I'm just going to stick to the Einstein. I know with not weapons, World War III will be fought with, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones.
right.
We'll blow ourselves back to the Stone Age joke. That's why I'm so big against war, is that's the only place you can go now.
Right.
That's true. And it's everybody's very polarized today too. It's like every issue for whatever reason. You can't have a moderate opinion on it. Everything's very extreme.
Well, what's funny is I feel like being me, I mean, as I said, I was going to run as an independent, but I decided to run as a Democrat because the Republicans kind of forced me that way. And you do have to have a side in this if you want any kind of economic support. So, you know, but if I don't completely align with most Democrats, like I'm more of a free thinker, and I'm in my mind trying to make a system that I think works at every level. I think every single part needs to work with every single part so that you have an efficient system that actually works for the majority of people. So I'm always looking at stuff as in, you know, I'm more of a pragmatic person. So what's the problem and how do we solve it? And how can I make sure that I can work that with everything else I'm trying to do? So I'm looking at stuff through logic and facts only. And what I've come to find out is it's polarized because we have a group that's intentionally trying to lie now because they want power more than they want to fix problems. And I feel like we have a one side trying to get and one side trying to get, and nobody's over here trying to say, what do we need to do? Because whoever says, what do we need to do to make this better is going to be the one that wins. And I feel like a part of that is because we only have about 60% that vote. When you have 100% vote or close to it, you're more likely to have your mediums work.
I feel like it's not even that. Where are you getting that 60% from? I feel like that's not even that high.
Did you vote? I
No,
didn't vote.
I didn't
Who the
vote.
fuck's voting? Like,
I mean, let's see. The last presidential election was about 150 million. And we have 330. So you're just under 50% then if you're looking at presidential. But I feel like 100%, the more people that vote, the less likely the extremes survive. You get rid of those extremes strictly because you have more people saying, I don't want that. That's why I'm also for ranked choice voting. I don't just want it to be Republicans and Democrats. I want to see other parties send candidates that have opportunity and come up with new ideas. I want to see what happens when instead of working for power and money, we actually work for the betterment of society.
I've thought about running as a rating monster loony before.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That-
I can see that.
but with ranked choice, I probably could. I
in a
mean,
mayoral race or
yeah.
get your diapers. Yeah.
At least we're not Mississippi.
That's right. I feel like Mississippi should be like, come on, guys, can we just start another state? Just something so we can be, we can
That's
be
probably why I wouldn't be surprised if most of your politicians from Mississippi, don't want somebody like the U.S. Virgin Islands join a state or Puerto Rico. They're like, if they beat us, then what?
How engaged is your district?
How
politically engaged?
What's funny with so many transplants, it's not as much. If you look at if you go to when the Republicans have their little meetings, they might have 100 people there. If you go to the Democrats, they have 25 or 30. Mm-hmm. It's not as engaged. I think both parties are looking for engagement, and neither of them really put anything out that really brings people to them. They don't really go out and get people to be interested. Out inside the city of Huntsville and Madison, the larger district economics, you can get some engagement there, but there's so much of Alabama's 5th district that's North Alabama that is rural that doesn't have as many people coming to it. Like I was talking to Jackson County, and they only have about 20 members of the Democratic and maybe 31 members in the Republican, but yet they have an entire county and most people just not involved. They just show up on voting day and vote for straight party ticket, one side or the other, and go back home.
And so few people making these decisions for all of us.
Yes.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, and that's what's scary is the less people you have making decisions, the less good decisions you get.
Yep.
If two heads are better than one, then 330 million should be better than, two.
Right.
And it costs billions to reach these 20 people. I mean, that's Facebook is a lot cheaper advertising.
Yes.
Amazing.
The dollar you spend per vote right now has gone astronomical through the roof. Like, I don't even know why we're playing this kind of game.
Did you have buttons for your campaign and shirts?
I did.
Isn't that the greatest feeling in the world?
Did
Seeing
the
your
button
name on
say,
it?
Dude, I kept one of my shirts just so I could have it. It's like, I'm going to wear that shirt every once in a while just because it's for me. No, you can wear your own name.
That's awesome. You going to run again in what, 26?
As I said, I'm not going to make any guarantees right now because I want to see what happens with this election. I want to see what happens with Trump now controlling the Republican Party. Does it collapse? Does it become the Trump Party? And the more traditional conservatives try to build their own party or join the libertarians. I want to see what happens with this RFK Jr. trying to be an independent, and that photo the other day with his entire family with Biden was hilarious. That was just funny to me. Just the irony of it. I was like, I loved it. I love those type of funny jokes. So I'm kind of trying to. I don't just want to jump into a race without knowing the waters of what we're looking at for that, because I understood 2022 was an open seat. I understood the political climate and the waters around that. But where we're going right now, I don't know if we're going to be on break rocks or what. But I want to at least know what the ocean I'm going to be taking is. So I'm kind of giving myself room to just pay attention, keep on my P's and Q's, keep working, and then we'll see what happens, and we'll go from there.
So I think that was a yes, unless they legalize pot.
No. My intent is to run again regardless, but it's just I want to make sure that I have the backing that I need on social media, that the ability to grab that kind of money that I'm going to need to run. I want to have a name where I can be on, certain CNN and this and that, and show people who I am and what I'm about, so other people can see. I want to build everything around me so that when I do it, it's like an unstoppable force.
How are you going to build your coalition, man?
Not what my friend said I should do is just keep being real and just keep being as honest as I can, and you'll realize that the people that want to be in your coalition will show up to you more than you have to go get them. They will gravitate towards you because they see what you are, that you're not what everybody else is. Everybody else is lying, cheating, and stealing, and you just want to be a good, honest man doing a good, honest job.
Well, Charlie, we're getting about that time. Got to start wrapping it up. You have any other questions, Dusty?
I'm trying to think of a smart ass one, but no.
Yeah, this was a good connection. I think I'm glad that I had him back on with you, because I think that you guys, you definitely had a lot to riff on.
Well, and I wish you the best of luck in your district and kick everyone's ass, and then
That's
legal.
the plan. That's the plan.
And what was that social media again, or how can people find out about you?
At the Charlie Truth on Twitter /X, however you want to call it. Elon Musk's little platform.
Dusty, how can people find out about you?
You can check out me and my books at redovision.com, where I have my latest Cheap Plastic Skeletons from Hell.
Also a writer. We didn't get into that, but
I write my own speeches, and I have to admit, the best part of politicking is when I get to get in front of people and just thunder away. Like, I would give anything for to have like like one of those full stadium crowds with me getting to talk. I bet you I'd have that whole crowd going crazy.
Nice. Yeah, that'd be good. It'd be good fun, I'm sure. Hey, thank you, Charlie, so much. Thanks, Dusty. And those of you watching, thank you guys for sticking it out and listening. Of course, thank you for listening. This has been another episode of On the Road with Dr. Brian. Bye-bye.
I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere. Blues, women, and blues. I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere. I'm an asshole.